Imagine an entire colony, over 100 men, women, and children, vanished without a trace from an island in the 16th century. No bodies, no struggle, just an empty settlement and a single cryptic carving. What if everything you thought you knew about one of America's oldest mysteries was wrong? Prepare to dive deep into the enduring enigma of Roanoke. The wind whispers through the trees on an abandoned island, carrying a chilling secret that has baffled historians for centuries. Picture this: homes left empty, belongings undisturbed, and a single, haunting word etched into a post. The lost colony of Roanoke wasn't just lost, it was swallowed by an unknown force. Are you ready to confront the terrifying possibilities of what truly happened? Forget what your history books told you about Roanoke, because the truth is far stranger than fiction. Was it a hostile native attack, a desperate attempt at integration, or something far more sinister that erased an entire English settlement from existence? We're peeling back the layers of myth to reveal the most compelling, and sometimes unsettling, theories behind America's oldest unsolved mystery. You won't look at Croatoan the same way again. The story begins in 1584, when Sir Walter Raleigh secured permission from Queen Elizabeth I to establish a colony in the New World. England was eager to challenge Spain's dominance in the Americas. A colony on the coast of modern-day North Carolina would serve as a foothold for trade, exploration, and perhaps even as a base to disrupt Spanish shipping. The chosen site, Roanoke Island, nestled in the Outer Banks. It was remote, heavily wooded, and surrounded by dangerous shoals. To the English, it was an opportunity. To the colonists who would call it home, it was an uncertain gamble. First attempts to settle Roanoke were marked by hardship. Supplies were scarce. Relations with the native Algonquian tribes were uneasy, fluctuating between fragile alliances and violent clashes. Disease, hunger, and poor planning made survival difficult. But Raleigh was determined. In 1587, a new group of settlers, about 115 men, women, and children, arrived on Roanoke under the leadership of Governor John White. Unlike earlier expeditions dominated by soldiers and explorers, this was a true colony. Families, farmers, craftsmen. They came not just to explore, but to build lives. Among them was White's own daughter, Eleanor Dare, who would soon give birth to Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the Americas. For a brief moment, Roanoke seemed like the promise of a new world. But problems soon mounted. Supplies dwindled. Relations with local tribes soured. Desperate, John White sailed back to England to secure provisions, leaving behind his family and the colonists. He intended to return quickly. Fate had other plans. England was preparing for war with Spain, and White's return was delayed for 3 long years. When he finally set foot back on Roanoke Island in 1590, the settlement was eerily silent. The houses were dismantled, the colony abandoned. No bodies, no signs of a struggle. Just one word carved into a wooden post: Croatoan. It was a name. The Croatoan were a nearby native tribe living on what is now Hatteras Island. But White's attempts to investigate were thwarted by storms, and he never found the colonists. They had vanished. Completely. For centuries, historians and researchers have struggled to explain the disappearance. Let's explore the most enduring theories. One of the more optimistic explanations is that the colonists assimilated with the Croatoan or other local tribes. Reports from later settlers mentioned Europeans living among native communities, and artifacts with English origins have been discovered in native settlements. Could the colonists have survived, blending into indigenous culture? Another theory believed the colonists were victims of violence. Tensions between settlers and native tribes were high. Some suggest a coordinated attack wiped out the colony, leaving nothing behind. Yet, the lack of remains or signs of battle casts doubt. The migration theory claimed the colony may have simply been abandoned. Facing starvation and isolation, the settlers could have tried to move inland in search of better resources. Some believe they perished in the wilderness, leaving no trace. At the time, Spain considered England's presence in the New World a threat. Some historians propose Spanish forces destroyed the colony as a warning, but no direct evidence of Spanish involvement has ever surfaced. Of course, no mystery is complete without legends. Some stories tell of curses, of the island swallowing the colonists whole, or of otherworldly forces at play. While unlikely, these tales highlight how deeply the mystery has gripped the imagination for centuries. The fate of the Lost Colony has become one of America's earliest unsolved mysteries. For generations, the story has been told in classrooms, novels, and television shows. The carving of Croatoan remains a chilling symbol, a single word carrying the weight of countless questions. Archaeologists continue to search the region for evidence. Fragments of pottery, tools, and European artifacts suggest some colonists may have lived on. Yet, there has never been conclusive proof. Roanoke is more than a historical puzzle. It's a story about survival, ambition, and the human cost of exploration. It reminds us of how fragile life was at the edge of the unknown. The wind still blows through Roanoke Island, rustling the trees where homes once stood. The echoes of laughter, of families trying to carve a future, are long gone. All that remains is silence, and a single word carved into wood. Croatoan. Was it a clue? A desperate message? Or the last mark of a vanished people swallowed by history? We may never know. But as long as the Lost Colony remains missing, it will remain one of America's oldest and most haunting unsolved mysteries, forever part of the Unsolved Archives.